Good morning, everyone. My name is Larry Silva. We're going to give everyone about one more minute to start to log on. Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Arizona Small Business Association, hold on one moment, and Cox Business, welcome to AZBizCon. Thank you for all joining us today. Though we can't be together in person this year, we're grateful for the opportunity to gather virtually. AZBA has another exciting day planned after a fantastic first day of the trade show yesterday. My name is Larry Silver. I'm the Director of Commercial Services for Cox Business here in Arizona. Cox Business has a long history of collaborative partnership with the Arizona Small Business Association and the small business community. At Cox, we know how important our small businesses are to the overall health and vibrancy of the Arizona economy. We've partnered with AZBA to bring critically important resources to small business owners throughout Arizona. And today we'll provide a showcase of quality exhibitors delivering innovative services and solutions for small business owners. At Cox, we're committed to helping small businesses leverage technology to compete in new markets to increase their prosperity. The pandemic has introduced unprecedented challenges for businesses, and our products give businesses the tools they need to pivot and engage with their customers in new ways online. Our technology has enabled new revenue streams for businesses throughout the state, and we are grateful for the opportunity to bring such relevant content to business owners seeking to recover, reposition, and thrive in the wake of the pandemic. Together, Cox and AZBA are committed to helping businesses in Arizona return stronger than before. Without any further ado, it is my pleasure to introduce our moderator, Jen Daniels. Jen has been an elected local leader for over a decade, serving as a council member, vice mayor, and most recently as the mayor of Gilbert, Arizona. Under her leadership, Gilbert thrived and became one of America's most vibrant towns, earning many national awards. During Jen's time in leadership, the town has achieved AAA bond rating from all three rating agencies, opened 3 new parks, and transformed the Heritage District into a regional destination with some of the best restaurants in Arizona, all while remaining the safest community in Arizona with the lowest cost of service in the Metro Phoenix area. In 2020, Jen was appointed by Governor Doug Ducey to a 6-year term on the State Transportation Board. Of note for this audience, Jen has also been a small business owner since 2005. Please join me in welcoming Jen Daniels.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate that. And thank you to everybody who's participating today. We're excited to be back for day 2. I thought day 1 was excellent and so grateful for our panelists who did so much work to really help us understand some of the dynamic options that businesses have today, but also knows firsthand the challenges that our businesses face, and we can all work together and find great solutions. Really grateful, especially to our Arizona Small Business Association team. They are small but mighty, you guys. They do incredible work. And so real quick, I want to make sure that they hear their name because they have worked so hard to make today happen. Our COO, that's Debbie Han, our Business Development Director, and that's Robin. We have Emma, who does most of the interaction you guys have probably seen, and Genesis, who does so much great graphic design work and website and just a lot of great things. We also have Katie Prendergast, who's the newest member of the AZBA team, and Katie's going to talk to us a little bit later today. And then our CEO, Jess Roman, who works diligently alongside our board to ensure that we see success in our Arizona Small Business Association, and also that you all get the resources and tools that you need. So thanks to everybody. And we wanted to make sure that those individuals really got the shout out that they deserve today. We have a great panel for your first session this morning. I'm going to ask our panelists to turn on their cameras and to unmute themselves during our conversation today, because we're going to go pretty free flowing here. We have Megan Hawker. Megan is with the Arizona Department of Revenue. Megan, give us all a wave so everybody knows who you are. Awesome. Thank you. Kimberly Willman from Staples. Kimberly with the fancy background. I love it. Thanks, Kimberly. We have Larry, as he just did the introduction. So Larry Silver from Cox Business. Thanks, Larry. And Chris Sherman from Camelback Moving. Chris, there he is. I see you, Chris. Thanks for being here. And I know you guys both have, all of you have real good insight for our panelists, for our audience today. So we'll just get right into it and start. And we're going to start with maybe the scariest group that's part of this. Megan laughs because she already knows that. From the Arizona Department of Revenue, Megan, I know you guys aren't scary, but I worked in government. And so I worked alongside you in a lot of ways. But I think for the small business owner, some of the unknowns and some of the things that we worry about are really being in compliance. So just real quick, let's do myth versus fact, and you can just answer myth or fact. Ready? When it comes to Arizona Department of Revenue, you only enforce the tax code.
That's a myth.
That's a myth. You're right. Okay, good. And if you are out of compliance, the Department of Revenue, they won't work with you. They might fine you and put you in jail.
That's also a very big myth.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. Can you help dispel those myths? I know that there's some preconceived notions about what the Arizona Department of Revenue does. Let's clear it up.
Absolutely. And I'll first preface this by saying I'm not a tax person. I do not have a tax background, so I completely understand where our small businesses are coming from when they say that the Department of Revenue is a big scary tax guy, and if I do it wrong, they're going to come bang on my door and take my stuff. And that's absolutely not the case. We never want to put a business out of business. If we do, that stops Arizona from growing, and that's absolutely not what we want. So my team especially, I work in the education and compliance district. So the first word in that is education. And in order for our small businesses to comply, they need to first be educated. So tax laws are super complicated and they're hard to understand, especially if you don't have a legal background or an accounting background. That's why we're here. We're here to help you. We're here to make it as easy as possible so that you can comply and so that you can get it right. We know our small businesses want to do it and they get just as frustrated as everyone else when something goes wrong, and they do get that call from us. So that's why we're here. We really do want to help all of our businesses succeed.
Thank you, Megan. And I appreciate that so much. And we're going to have you share with us some of the tools and how our businesses can access those tools in just a little bit. We're going to go to Larry. Larry, at Cox Business, you guys are often in the position of interpreting what your customers need. And so that gives you a unique perspective, Larry, on how that works. Can you please share with the group what process you use to interpret the customer's needs and how that might translate into any of our small businesses? You're on mute, Larry. Sorry, we'll have you unmute. Thanks.
First of all, you knew somebody had to do that. I'm glad it was me and we got it over with.
All good.
Jen, thank you for the opportunity to be here, and AZBA, thank you for putting this together. At Cox, we spend a lot of time, a lot of effort, and a lot of resources interpreting our customers' needs. And honestly, a lot of those things translate into all of the work that you're all doing out in your businesses. First, collect direct feedback, whether it's a survey or it's an interview, it's social media. We need to get out from behind our desks and actually speak to what our customers are saying. I'll make tell a very quick story. When my wife and I were younger and she was flying cross country, we were living in New York at the time and she had some family in Utah. She flew a brand new airline called JetBlue. And as she flew JetBlue with 4 small children under 4 years of age, we were both petrified because it was an overnight flight, what was going to happen. But one of the flight attendants decided to take her under his wing, and he brought snacks to the kids and checked in on them. I even unfolded our giant twin stroller when they got off the plane. And he introduced himself as David Nealman. He was the CEO of the company, we later found out, and he made it a habit to fly as a flight attendant, luckily not a pilot, just to see what experience his customers were finding, what they were feeling, what his staff was saying. We need to do the same kinds of things. We need to get out from behind our desks and actually see what our customers are experiencing. It's also helpful to keep an eye on competitors. And it's also the most important thing is probably understand why your customers are doing business with you and not someone else. How do they shop? Back in the day, we used to talk about the golden rule, which was simply treat others the way you want to be treated. Now that's been supplanted by the platinum rule. Treat people the way they want to be treated. But first you have to understand what that is. And the way you do that is, again, getting out from behind your desk and finding out why customers are doing business with you, how they're doing it, and also understanding what the emotion is. Facts will help you make judgments, but emotions will help people make buying decisions and loyalty decisions. So please understand what the emotions behind why people are doing business with you, and make sure that whenever possible, you're helping the physical as well as the psychological needs.
Thank you for sharing that, Larry. That was a great story. And I think one we can all learn from. Chris, over at Camelback Moving, you guys are actually employing what I would consider to be the platinum role. It's my understanding you oversee 102 employees and 3 different divisions of moving. It's probably far more complex than any of us have ever given it credit for. But tell us a little bit about what you do in your business to ensure customer satisfaction.
Thank you for that, Jen. So at Camelback Moving, our philosophy isn't the when the move is finished that we're done with your move, because we're not. We're going to do a follow-up call with every single move we do, no matter how big or how small you are. We want to make, as Larry said, it's the emotion side that we have to fulfill. And to be able to do that, we have to make sure that they're happy with every step of the move. There's a lot of misconception when it comes to moving. They think 2 big guys in a truck and that's all you need and your move is complete. That's not the case. It's the loyalty, it's the companionship that we have in this industry. And Chad, the owner of this company, is very, very cautious about our end results, no matter whether it's good or bad. We want to get that feedback because that's what's made us where we are today. We've been in business 16 years. And when I started here, there was 12 of us. We have 117 people on staff now. And to get there, we have to make sure that we are doing everything that the customer needs, from the smallest detail, from putting their bed together to moving thousands of people over a weekend in a business. We have to come together and make sure that we have the right people in the right positions. And to be able to do that, trust me, we get it with a small business. How do you make everybody mesh together, if you want to say? It's not going to happen. So we have to look at who works good together, who doesn't work good together, and fill those voids with the right people. Having the right people is key to anything, whether we're big or small. It's the hardest thing that business owners come up with. Where do we find the right people to fill those? And it's getting out there and being passionate about what you do. I love my job. I've been doing this 42 years. I wouldn't do anything but this. I get to meet different people every single day. And every job is a different challenge. And I love what I do. And I love the people that I work with.
I love your passion for your work, Chris. That's amazing. And of course, we want to instill that in all of our people. Any small business owner I've had interactions with, and some of the things that have kept me up at night as a small business owner myself is obviously profit, bottom line, like dollars in, dollars out. Those are important things. And right up there with that is people. The people that I serve, the people that I work with, the next people that I want to meet and be included in. And so Kimberly, you as the Staples manager, and I want you to be able to plug your store as well. Tell us a little bit about how important people are in your business and all the work that you do to ensure that the customer that you have in front of you gets exactly what they need.
Oh my gosh. Okay. My store is the North Scottsdale store. So come to see me. Anyway, we're all about people now. And I think just from the workers that we employ, but basically our customers, we treat our customers. I know this now sounds super cliche, but every customer walks in the door is your friend. I mean, they're there for a reason. We look to partner our customers that come in with the products that they're looking for, and it's not a robotic environment. And I think that is the direction the company has taken. We are in the business of connecting people with products. Whether you're a small business owner for sure, during these times, and you're looking for ways to revamp your business, everything is different, it's chaotic, and we're here to say, okay, so look, if you're going to work from home, here's the things you're going to need to work from home. If you're looking to turn the sign and get the word out that you are adhering to all the COVID rules and all these other things, then we have all the signs and supplies that you're going to need. So it's more, we try to make it as personal as possible, and it'll make or break you in this time. And I think that as a company, we're doing a really good job to make it a comforting environment, if that makes sense.
I would imagine you see trends too, Kimberly, in like what your customers need, what the small businesses really need. Obviously, people are, all looking for hand sanitizer and, all the sanitation things that they need, but also, the communication tools that Staples has to offer. I think you told me a great story when we did our pre-call about finding that really needed something. Tell us about that.
Okay, so I had the customer that came in, and he runs a local business, and he was doing all his printing out of state. And during the beginning of the pandemic, I think it was March, and he couldn't get his planners out, and he was going remote, and he was still getting them printed, and he was getting them shipped. So he came in a rush, trying to get a last minute print order done. Well, turns out he finds out that we can do his planners at the exact same cost and eliminate the shipping cost completely. So by eliminating the shipping cost, he was able to turn around and sell his planners for less. And he is, we call him a sticky customer. So he's one of our best customers actually, and he does all his planners with us. And we were able to save him hundreds, if not thousands of dollars long term on shipping costs. So a great story. It's one of my favorites. And there's 2 or 3 that are similar, but I won't go on because I could. But it's in that feeling, it's a great feeling, and we love to help, and that's kind of why we're here. So
thank you. Appreciate that, Kimberly, so much. Megan, we're going to come back to you because small businesses often need those resources, and we need to be able to connect them. And that's, I think, one of the great missions of AZBA and some of the good work that we do is really to make sure that businesses get connected with the resources that they need in order to be successful. You have a tremendous number of resources, and I dare to say they aren't tapped into as much as they should. So tell us about some of those.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. So especially with my team is the education unit at the Department of Revenue. So who here knew that the Department of Revenue offers free tax classes? My team leads all of those classes. So if you are a small business and TPT, transaction privilege tax, seems very daunting to you, send us an email, take a class. We're here to help. And my team does serve as kind of the liaison between the public and the department. We don't claim to know all the answers, but we know the people who know the answers. So if you're afraid to pick up the phone and call a collector, email us, we'll connect you. If you're afraid to pick up the phone and call your auditor, email us. We'll be that buffer. We're not big, scary people, we're the same as you. I came from a retail background, so I completely understand where you guys are coming from. So, yeah, there's tons of opportunities and resources at the department. And really, we are here to serve our taxpayers. So anything you need, just let us know. We'll try to help you as best as we absolutely can.
I appreciate that so much, Megan. I actually sat on the Municipal Tax Code Commission and worked on the Model City Tax Code for a couple of years, and it is complex, and there are a lot of nuances, even city to city. So if you're doing business in multiple cities, I would highly encourage you to reach out to Megan and her team, because there are so many things that can sort of get upside down real quick. And we want to make sure that you have all the tools that you need in order to ensure that you're in compliance. You'll sleep better at night. And that's an important component of self-care and taking care of ourselves. So we want you to know, and AZBA is happy to be that conduit as well. So we'll keep Megan on speed dial for sure. Okay, Larry,
I'm ready. Go for it.
That's right. Larry, we're going to come back to you. In our pre-call, you were really passionate about shopping local and making sure that our tax dollars stay in the state. Tell us, Larry, a little bit more about why you're so passionate about that and how important that is to our small business ecosystem.
Thank you. In 1895, when my great-grandfather moved here from Austria, he started a small business, a small construction company. And his business specialized in building storefronts, other small businesses for local people who were also moving here from Europe at the time as well. Since then, my grandfather owned a small business, my father owned a small business, and my wife and I own a small business. It seems to be in our blood. Small businesses, and by the way, the reason I work for Cox Communications is still a privately held business. It's still a family-owned business. Alex Taylor is the great-grandson of Governor Cox, who founded our company. Local businesses are owned and operated by neighbors. They care about or invest in the well-being of our community and the future, our legacy, our children's children. Local businesses are more likely to use local businesses. It's just the way it works. We tend to stay local because we are local. We have the numbers. We spend a lot of money on research for this. And we now know that of every $100 that's spent with a local business, $68 of it is kept locally. It will stay in our communities. Now, this is not to say, and I recognize there's a lot of big businesses probably on the phone. Every big business has decisions to make. They don't have to keep their money local, but they may choose to. So businesses like Cox, businesses like many of the people probably on the phone, we choose to hire local and stay local. And candidly, we're all very similar. Lastly, our local businesses and our business owners are more accountable to the local communities and tend to donate more to nonprofits, local as well as all nonprofits. And a personal passion of mine, small businesses have a smaller carbon footprint. Small businesses are simply good for not just the economic environment, but also our physical environment. And, we only have one Earth. Let's not break it.
Thank you, Larry. I appreciate that insight. And actually, I'm going to dovetail that question about shopping locally to our small businesses have an opportunity to compete globally. So shifting from the local to the global, tell us a little bit more about some of the opportunities that you have seen through Cox Business and how our small businesses can capitalize on opportunities to really engage globally with their business.
Sure. First, I'll say that we, meaning our small businesses in Arizona, are competing with companies we've never had to do business with before. We're competing globally. It used to be other storefronts in the community. Then it went to, some of the bigger box. Now we've got people who are buying lockers and buying surplus and shipping them with no cost. It's become much more difficult for us to compete locally. So many of us are turning towards competing globally. I will have to start with saying leveraging technology. I work for Cox Business. That's no surprise to anybody on the phone. A faster internet connection, cloud-based services, security services, having a real digital presence, be where your customers are looking. They're looking online. but you need to ask the question. If everyone who you're doing business with is going to a certain website, then make sure you know what that website is, know what social media outlets your customers are looking at. You have to build your reputation, testimonials, association. One advantage we have as small business owners, we have the ability to be agile. A lot of big businesses don't have the ability to follow marketing trends and respond to them quickly due to a lot of bureaucracies. Small businesses have the opportunity to capitalize on that if we stay paying attention. So please make sure you are. It's important that we segment and define our target market. We can't chase everything. If you try, you'll drown. But if you realize what your target market is, realize who's doing business with you and why, and candidly, what needs you fulfill that no one else can, and you have the ability to fulfill the platinum rule that we spoke about a minute ago, you have the ability to make the improvements based upon feedback quicker than anyone else can. You can stay agile. You can do what you need to do. Word of caution, give everything a chance to succeed and everything a chance to fail. Make sure that you have the sounding boards and the resources you need to make sure that you're following the right trends and making sure they're not knee-jerk reactions. But if you utilize the technology, you are where people are going to be looking. As people are coming into our market to do business with us in a way we've never seen before, we have the ability to take the competition to them, and we have the ability to compete on global markets utilizing technology and the other things we spoke about to candidly compete and win, because we have the agility, and genuinely, small business owners care.
So true. And caring matters. So the Daniels family has a motto: don't judge us. It's fail, fail again, fail better. It's an old Samuel Beckett quote. We realize that every day we're going to make lots of mistakes and we're going to try harder tomorrow. That's the Daniels family. It sounds like demotivation for children, but I will let you know that it gives them permission to try things that maybe they haven't before. And I think in our small businesses, especially during this time, I never want to ever hear the word unprecedented again. I'm sure everyone feels the same way. But we have an opportunity, I think, in this transitionary time for us to make changes that could make a huge difference for our small businesses. We have to, I think, work together to make that happen and to have these conversations, particularly within our communities, about what we can be doing to make sure that we're ready for whatever comes next. When we prepared the budget for the town of Gilbert, it was one of the last things I did before I resigned. We basically created a budget that was prepared for anything. That was the goal. Usually we prepare for a certain scenario or a target, and instead we did a multi-scenario, prepare for anything kind of budget. And it's caused me to think a little bit more about that in my own life and in my own business. How can I be ready for anything? Because we really don't know. I mean, I think if 2020 has taught us anything, it's that we really don't know. And so I think these kinds of conversations and dialogues are so important for us to continue to have. Kimberly, over at Staples, and I know you guys are considered a big business, but you are run locally, and you also have access to some resources that can be really helpful for the customer. You're constantly in a position where you're having to probably reevaluate and make shifts within the business. How do you know which shifts to make, and what data and analysis are you doing within your store to be able to prepare for anything?
Well, it just goes down to in this unprecedented time, I had to throw it in there. We listen to our customers. The customers are the source of the changing environment, and they come in with their different needs, and we communicate them higher, or the same thing is communicated to us. It's very fluid. We can change on a dime. We'll do it with merchandising. We've added a whole new set for fall and holiday that's not geared around presents. And I mean by gifts. I mean, it's more geared towards remote learning and remote working and turning the sign and getting back in. So we've taken, by just the voice of the customer, which is crucial, and we've turned that into the offering that we have to make the customer's life easier in many different facets.
Thank you, Kimberly. That's helpful and insightful for us as well. Chris, over at Camelback Moving, I think you said you were employee 12 and now you have 117 people. We've established the fact that people are really everything, whether it's the customer or the employee, or the next customer, the new customer that you haven't met yet. So can you tell us a little bit about how you know who the right people are? What qualities and characteristics are you looking for? I think it's translatable into every industry, but I also know that so much of what we need can be taught. So much of what we need can't be taught. So tell us what you look for and really how you grow your people.
Thank you. So when we get probably 100 applications a week. We do amazing outreach to different organizations, different avenues looking for great employees. We're always looking, we're always hiring. We're never not hiring. Investing in our employees is the most costly thing as a business owner that we're ever going to do, but it's something we have to realize has to be done. We have a university at one of our warehouses where we don't care what their background is. We don't care what moving company they've come from or not come from. They still have to go through our training course. And it's 2 weeks long, and we teach them how to pack. We teach them how to move. We don't want nobody to come in here and hurt themselves. Again, the field that we work in, people can hurt their backs, hurt their legs. So we want to give them the best tools possible that we know works because we've done it for so long. Our upper management has such a passion for our employees that we want them to succeed because they're really the face of our company. I mean, the management team, we're here, but the people that we go meet, they don't see us. They see our field employees. So we want to make sure that we give them the best and the most advanced training possible. And it's ongoing. You have to continue to do that for them to continue to want to work every day. And we don't have a turnover like most moving companies. We have lots of longevity here. And, some of our guys are now starting to get very old. So we're starting to move them into the warehouses and things like that, and bringing in newer talent to take up that space, because movers over years, you can't be a mover all your life. It's, not like a lawyer or a doctor. You can do that until you're pretty old. Movers at about 55 or 60, we're getting out of that part of it. So we move them into management. We open up positions so that they don't feel like, hey, once we're not a mover anymore, what are we going to do? We have to have passion for the guys that work for us. And I think by not just focusing on one avenue of employment, you get that. Because we do everything from construction, TI work. We try to give our customers a 100% move capability. They don't have to find an electrician. They don't have to find a drywall company. We have that all within Camelback Moving. We do IT. We do everything to give the customer a 100. We can control their move where we can't control it if we can't do it.
That's great and good insight. So where you can do something as a small business, you should. If you can't, partner with another trusted small business is what I'm hearing. So that's terrific. Thank you very much, Chris. Well, we appreciate everyone's activity. Chris, I wish that we should also tell all the elected officials that when they get to a certain point, we should all retire or move along. So let's convert that to government now. Not you, Megan, the elected officials. But I really appreciate each of you and the insight that you've brought today. And I think it's been really helpful for us to continue to have this dialogue. Just some of the key takeaways that I loved that you shared with all of us. One is that all of the customer decisions that are being made are both practical, but they're also emotional. And so how can we tie ourselves really with our customer, help them see things from help us see things from their perspective. And I probably won't ever forget that story, Larry, about the CEO of JetBlue. So thanks for sharing that. That was really terrific. Kimberly, you and all of your work that you do, your desire to help every single individual that comes through your door, just a terrific opportunity and a reminder for all of us that everyone that comes through the door or calls us, depending, because we're all remote now, right? Or sends us an email. Not only is it a potential business opportunity, it could be one of those pivotal and lifelong friendships that we want to continue to cultivate. How important that interconnectedness is that we have here. Megan, you're saving the day, one piece of education at a time for our business owners. And as you spoke today, I really couldn't help but think that all of us need to be working in our business and on our business. This is an incredibly important reminder. Someone brought that up yesterday, and I just really appreciate the thought process. If you're not spending time working on your business every day, but you are just working in your business, there's going to be key things that fall through the cracks. Megan can help you find those key things. And so we're going to keep Megan on speed dial for sure. So we appreciate that. And Chris, you're 40, I think you said 42 years in the industry. That's like a lifetime achievement award. So congratulations. You are doing great work, and we really appreciate knowing about Camelback Moving, but also hearing some of the inside information about how your small business works and the great contributions you're making to other small businesses. So thank you. We're going to take a quick break right now, and our next session will begin at 10:40. So go ahead and watch the slides, get a snack, get a drink, and come back to your computer where we have another great panel waiting for you. Thanks, everybody. Okay, everybody, welcome back. So excited for the fourth and final panel session. I see our panelists on. We're so grateful to have you. I don't see Deborah. Deborah, are you here?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you great. Deborah, is your video on? Maybe give a wave.
Can you see?
Yes, perfect.
Awesome.
Thank you so much. Great to see you, Deborah. We have Christo Visso. Deborah's from Medieval Times, our dinner and tournament location. If you haven't been, you have to go. It's so fun. So definitely can't wait to hear from her. We have Christo Visser from Arizona Toastmasters. Christo, the fancy background.
Thank you so much for the invitation this morning. Excited to be participating with the panel. Thank you.
So glad you're here. Thank you. And last but not least, we have TJ Shope from National Bank of Arizona. Welcome, TJ. You're on mute.
How's it going?
Happens to all of us. Great to see you, TJ.
You bet. Good to see
TJ,
you.
you just had something kind of exciting happen in the last couple of weeks. Do you want to?
Yeah, got married a couple of weeks ago. So yeah, it's definitely life-changing for sure.
Congratulations. That's awesome. TJ works for National Bank of Arizona, but also wears another hat. And that hat is serving in our Arizona State Legislature. How many years now, TJ?
I'm finishing up year number 8 right now and running for state senate. So in a weird campaign type of year.
It is. It's a totally strange election year. I've said it 5,000 times, and November 3rd can't come fast enough. I'm sure
Absolutely.
we all same way. Good. Well, terrific. So let's just jump right in. And Deborah, we're going to start with you. You guys have a really incredible approach with your employees, and that's that everyone works together or the show doesn't work. Can you tell us a little bit about how that is and really how that translates to some of our other businesses?
Absolutely. I was lucky enough to transition from Las Vegas here and become part of the team to open this 10th castle for the company. And much to my surprise during the conversation was the tenure of the management team and some of our players that are cast members as well. And it all lends itself to the company culture and the passion and the actual story that we tell based on our owner's lineage to 11th century royalty in Spain. So having said that, most of our management team and core players have gone to school, worked their way up, maybe have started in retail or behind the bar or a server, have gotten their degrees, masters, and have positioned themselves within the company, whether that be in the corporate or other castles as GMs or top management in all of the departments. So they're very well cross-trained. But what I really would love to share is the side of the company that really is to the core of the story that we tell, which is the code of chivalry. And that really is a part of what we do in the castle as well as out of the castle. In the castle, we may pinch hit, no problem for a team member because that's what we do, being cross-trained. But it all lends itself to being, just a good team member and a good community member. And I think it fits really well in the Salt River community here. We're lucky enough and blessed enough to be on community property with other businesses up and coming. And we really work together as a community in Salt River with business and leads and cross promoting and creativity. I just can't even explain how well we all play in the sandbox for the good of this particular location and destination for Arizona. So it just is a perfect fit.
I love that, Deborah. I want to come back to that in just a little bit and talk a little bit more about how that ecosystem that you all have created as really an entertainment district and how that all works together. So I do want to come back to that in just a couple minutes. Christo, you are here representing Arizona Toastmasters, but you also oversee 2 other companies, and you've had like a real incredible career, I would, just based on the feedback or the correspondence that you and I have already had. So tell us a little bit about your background and why Arizona Toastmasters has been such an important component of that.
Jen, thank you. And thank you to the panel for the opportunity again. My background really comes from a farming ranching background. My father being a veterinarian and small and large animal, actually born in South Africa, and we immigrated to the United States, gosh, about 35 years ago now. But always been involved with livestock, always been around animals and really business, because that's really what my dad did, was run a business with his passion for veterinary services. And to fast forward from there, we started an import-export business here in the States where we imported embryos, sheep embryos specifically, genetics as I look at it, from South Africa to Canada into the US and back out of the US through Mexico to multiple clients, and then ultimately setting up a embryo station and partnership in Australia and working more globally. And then we have since started a family business at Cubex. As you see here, we have 3 divisions. We have a medical division, MedBank. We have our dental division, AZBiz, and our veterinary division. And all of these are disciplines within the family. But what we do with Cubex, we're a software company, have a hardware component, and we manage the life cycle of a pharmaceutical. Life cycle from post-manufacture, where the supplier, in many cases pharmacies, will supply those pharmaceuticals or vendors to their end user clients, which will be veterinary practice, oral surgery centers, long-term care facilities, etc. And our software tracks that and access and so forth. So it's been a very interesting career path for me, predominantly operations. And how does Toastmasters factor into all of that? I have grown in my career. I have a degree in finance. I've continued to seek continuing education. I went to our CEO, Anton, and asked him for mentorship. And he told me, it's pretty simple. Here's what you need to do. Go to Toastmasters, join a club, spend a year, come back, and we'll further the conversation. And I did. And now I've been with Toastmasters for 4.5 years, of course, representing Arizona Toastmasters and Toastmasters International. But for me, briefly, and I'm sure Jen will visit more, what Toastmasters, the misnomer is it's all about public speaking. And what Toastmasters does, it really hones and builds skill sets from listening to impromptu thinking, to conversation, to evaluation. And this is something we all as business leaders and business people can utilize. There's many aspects of Toastmasters outside of public speaking that will continue to build and develop those skill sets. And I'll get into a little bit more detail, Jen, as we go further into the meeting. But again, thank you for the introduction.
Terrific. Thank you, Christo. It sounds like you have a very, very smart family. Probably none of the rest of us are qualified to be in that family, but I'm impressed and grateful that you're sharing some insight and wisdom with us today. And I don't think as business owners, we actually make time to build our skill sets very often. So I think that's a really great takeaway for all of us today, is that there are a lot of opportunities for us to build our skill sets while we're building our business, and how those two things will see success at the same time. And so thank you for that insight. We really appreciate it. TJ, we'll go to you. You're a legislator and a representative from a bank today. So tell us where you see policy impacting small business, and you get to see it probably from multiple angles.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you know, we can to borrow a favorite word of yours, unprecedented. We have seen amazing amazing feats. You know, I look at the PPP program, and for the folks that are on the line right now who are watching, that was an amazing feat of finance. And I know at National Bank of Arizona, we had tremendous success in getting not just existing customers, but folks who had never had a banking relationship with us into our bank, and establishing a relationship with them and the greater business community that's out there, from small to medium to large. For the regular person out there, you know, my family's been in the grocery business for about 70 years, and we think about the folks on one end who had a difficult time of getting patrons in and out of a business during that time. And then on the other end, you had industries like the grocery industry and others who had to go out and hire people immediately. I know you had on the previous portion here, you had the folks from Camelback Moving on, and they were talking about, training and all that. When you don't have anything on the shelves in a grocery store, as we saw several months ago, and you're trying to bring people in at the same time, you really have no time to do any of that personal type of training. You are working at your business. You're not being mindful of the things that you're trying to learn or anything like that. But boy, it has been a very interesting time as far as policy goes. Let's take a look at some of the industries that are still very much impacted. We can talk about fitness centers. We can talk about the restaurant industry as a whole, especially if you have a license that is directly impacted by what Department of Liquor License and Control has stipulated to you. There are some good things, though. I mean, I saw yesterday karaoke's coming back, so coming to an establishment near you, I'm sure.
I think depending on who you are, that's good or bad.
Yeah. But the reality is, for many businesses, they didn't even maybe had the only time that they had ever interacted with government was when they went to get a business license, when they went to get a liquor license or some other license that they needed to operate their business. And when things began to be shut down or curtailed significantly, that was for many of them the first iteration that they'd had with government impacting their business. And you saw, and I know my office fielded a lot of calls and a lot of emails from folks who had never reached out to their legislator before, who had never reached out. And on the other side of it, during the PPP process, you had a lot of folks that would reach out who had never actually done anything more than what I used to do at our store, which is run in and make a deposit and get out of there as quickly as possible to get back to working in your business. And I think that we really saw, especially with some of our competition as well, the personal relationship that people used to have with bankers going back decades, and a lot of these entities don't exist anymore. Yeah. And I think that's one of the difference makers for us, is that we do pride ourselves on having a good relationship with the businesses that use our services.
And I want to come back to that in just a minute to give the people that are participating today some more ideas about how they can build that banking relationship, because I think that is a critical component. I don't think any of us realized how important that individual relationship was going to be until the PPP program came. And, if you were at a certain, couple of banks, you couldn't even get somebody on the phone, and how important that personal relationship is. And as we come back to, shopping and doing business locally, how nice it is that we have National Bank of Arizona in here, right here with us. So I appreciate that so much. I had to, from a government perspective, we were tracking all of the revenues just very closely. We were all worried about, the bottom falling out. I know where all the toilet paper hoarders live in Arizona. They all live in Gilbert. So apparently we took more than our fair share. But I am really relieved to see that even state all the way down to local is seeing higher than predicted revenues right now. And again, that's, I think, a testament to Arizona, to all of you as small business owners, that we are finding ways to bounce back, and that we're using the resiliency and grit that has to be part of our DNA to live in 115-degree weather for, 59 days in a row or something this year. That we've got this grit that we can continue to rely upon. But we also need to rely on other small businesses and creating that business ecosystem. So Deborah, you talked a little bit about how the entertainment district that you're located in supports one another. You guys have been hard hit by this pandemic, especially because you've been limited in how many people you can have come back to your business, and your business model is based on a certain number of attendees and all of those things. So tell us a little bit about why you're not in competition with the people who are also offering entertainment, but instead you're seeing each other as equals and trying to lift each other up.
Exactly. For us at Medieval Times, it's always been a part of our core business strategy and structure. The Code of Chivalry really came to life, and the initiative within the company came to life a few years back during a catastrophic incident in the Philippines. Medieval Times has never really played favoritism towards a business in terms of a nonprofit or fundraising or, you know, financial support. But at this particular time, our owner is from Spain. That's where our story comes from. It comes from his family. The first Medieval Times was there in '74. They brought it here to Kissimmee, Florida in the 80s. And then we've blossomed into 10 castles, 9 in the United States, 1 in Toronto, very slow moving, but very methodically. But during this particular time, the schools were hit hard, and that's where our heart is. It's really about teaching kids that core family value of chivalry meets modern times, and that will play into our educational matinees and our summer matinees. And that's where we get the teachers that really, you know, are looking for that supplemental information to the Middle Ages, and how can we be a part of that business. So we lend ourselves and our cast members and our team members to volunteer. We volunteer at food banks. We volunteer with the Boys and Girls Club and, you know, take the kids shopping for, you know, school supplies and school clothes. We'll volunteer at Active 55 or senior communities. So that was really part of our core, but what we came to find in the Salt River District was that being a part of the community land, that really lends itself to how they live and self-sustain in their community. So I feel like everybody talks about being a good neighbor, but it only takes a few really good relationships to really start reciprocating. And maybe it is that coffee talk, or maybe it is that lunch that you have. And then maybe it is you invite that partner into your place of business to co-promote something that is on your community or is on your block. And then it just starts to spiral out. So coming back from COVID, it was a real challenging time. Funds are lean, budgets are tight, promotions are out the window. Being able to do the Code of Chivalry in person is restricting. We want to protect you. We want to protect our staff. We want to remain open. So we've done some really creative things within the community where it doesn't cost anything to cross promote on social media and do something really fun and engaging and get your followers talking about that, giveaways, things like that. So when it comes to Medieval Times, I would encourage everyone who doesn't know the story to reach out or learn a little bit about what we are. Of course, we want you to come see the show, but every time that you invite us into your home or into your business to play with you for a particular event or social gathering, it gives us something to talk about on our media. So it's twofold. It's a really brilliant way of marketing with no dollars.
That's great.
Yeah.
Appreciate that insight. We're going to go back to Christo. Christo, you are a tremendous problem solver. You had a problem and you went to your boss and he told you to go to Toastmasters, and 4.5 years later, you're now a leader within that organization. But tell us a little bit about one problem that you see our small businesses, including your own, facing on a regular basis, and what you think we should be doing to prepare or a solution to that problem.
Thank you, Jen. A common problem, I think, for all of us really is that we don't disrupt ourselves. And the problem is we get disrupted. Well, of course, we can all talk about COVID, and quite frankly, I'm done talking about COVID. But what the disruption has taught our company is if you don't approach how you do business, how you manage your employees, how you manage your finances, where you market, where the future is, and really start focusing on that. The future could be technology, it could be working from home, it could be remote meetings, et cetera, et cetera. And for us, of course, it's also staying current with government policy and federal and state, local and regional policies as well. but it's the disruption, and it's such a part of our culture is to embrace that and not to be afraid of it. And that ties into change. And because for change to take place, you have to be willing to allow it, or willing to embrace it, or at least willing to work through it. And I think for a lot of small businesses, there's an inherent fear of, well, we don't want to change. We're comfortable. We like what we do. We're successful. I mean, I can talk about my own businesses. My sheep business is a great example where I got disrupted. We use, because of protocols, I won't go into all the long, hairy details, but there's a lot of agricultural rules and regulatory protocols on how embryos get imported, how they get managed, how livestock gets transported, not just across states, but across countries and borders. Mad cow disease broke out, and literally overnight, my business was done. My import-export business shut down because my import business through Canada and my export business out of Mexico closed. But fortunately, we as a business were very responsive. We didn't, raise our arms in the air, oh, what are we going to do? It was, okay, we have a pretty major hiccup here. We didn't expect this. How are we going to respond to that? We ended up creating a lamb business, a meat business. We worked more directly with the conservation services in our local communities, with the universities, and had a nice, thriving, let's call it a sheep production business within the United States, which really wasn't our core market. It was only 7% of my market at the time. And we're doing the same at QBEX. COVID, medical industry, long-term care facilities literally got shut down. And the movement of medication supplies, pharmaceuticals for humans, of course, and pets, and I'll even talk about surgery centers and dental. Dental suffered very, very detrimental setbacks because of the closures. Literally for 4 to 6 months, some of these businesses were closed. And of course, that directly impacts my business. But again, it goes back to that disruption. We were already disrupting our business. We were already going into what if scenarios. How can we create greater efficiencies, deliver a better client experience, and drive stronger economies of scale internally? It just wasn't as aggressive as we thought we needed to be until COVID broke out. And we embraced the opportunity. We now do a lot of remote setup. We've actually acquired relationships with more third-party vendors. And again, we talk about community. We've reached out to our community to better utilize business resources around us and not be a singular entity, which was our historic mindset. Oh, and again, just to tie it back into Toastmasters, it sounds odd that I would, but my experience in Toastmasters has taught me through the different responsibilities, being a meeting organizer or leading the meeting or being an evaluator or being a speaker or presenter or table topics and so forth, and working with a lot of the leadership at ArizonaToastmasters.org and all the programs they've put in, they call it TLI, the Teachers Leadership Institute, and the other resources that Toastmasters provide me. That has also help support our business and ultimately in community, because outside of your own business and the disruption and being a good manager and being willing to embrace change or accept change and work through it, you need that support from your community. You're not going to do it alone, just as we are today on this forum. This is a community that supports each other. And I really appreciate, Deborah, you sharing the community. And that's what's resonated with me in Toastmasters. There's a broader community of people there that support you, not just in your business, but in how you manage your business and how you manage yourself as an individual and how you're successful in that capacity.
That's so helpful, Christo. I love what you're talking about because we can either be reactionary or proactively disrupted. Like it's one or the other. And I do see this as a tremendous opportunity, a reset button, if you will. And I love the fact that you diversified your business in order to be able to weather some of these storms that came at you, that you had no control over. How many things do we worry about, right? That we don't have control over. Let's diversify. Let's see some different opportunities. And it really does require some of that willingness. As many of you, my kids were doing online school, and I finally just started sort of this mantra with them, which was stop resisting. Like, this is just how we have to do it. Stop resisting. Resisting is making it harder on you and harder on me and harder on your teacher. If we can instead sort of just accept some of the things that we can't control, and then really find ways to do the best workaround that we can to diversify and to accept the change and to find the new opportunities in it. I think we can all learn quite a bit from this. So thank you, Christo. That was really helpful. TJ, you're going to lead us out here. I want to know what you think our small businesses should be doing in order to be building better relationships with their personal banker, or establishing one to begin with. And then I'm hoping you'll give us something besides an election to look forward to in 2021. Like, we want you to get your crystal ball out, because
Right on.
the sky is very bright for the people who just got married. So
Right.
go ahead and tell
Right
us.
on. Really quickly though, I do want to go really fast to something that Chris has said. I think something that was also mentioned by Deb, and I think the word of the day for any small business out there is adaptability. How adaptable are you to the situation that we're in right now? And I can go ahead and dovetail that into your question as far as finance and the banking. And people forget, we've been closed as far as not being able to go to corporate headquarters, things like that, just like a lot of other entities have been at the same time. And that entire PPP process and all the other things we've been doing with SBA and other governmental functions has all happened from home. We have had to adapt as well. We've had to adapt to not being able to go next door to a coworker's office and knock on the door and say, hey, can you help me out with this, or what have you, and have to learn how to use Teams just like everybody else has, to send that instant message to across the city, basically, instead of next door to your one of your coworkers. As I mentioned earlier, I've been guilty. I know we'd be lying, I think, if we didn't believe that for the most part our relationships as a business with our bankers has been, as I mentioned earlier, going in, dropping a deposit off, and heading out the door, and going back to our business. I think if there's one thing that we have learned over the last several months, is that, you know what, we really probably should have a better relationship with the folks that we entrust to help us in these situations, right? This is something that I heard repeatedly during this time, and that was one of the difference makers, I think, for us, is that we would answer the phone, we would return an email, we would go ahead and we work collaboratively with everyone on our team there, and do the best that we can to satisfy the need of the client. And I think that for many folks, especially at the beginning of the PPP process, they didn't even know who to call. And by the time that the thing is being unveiled and rolled out, it's almost too late at that point to begin that relationship with your banker in your business. So I would encourage everyone to continue building that relationship. Some folks I know, as I mentioned earlier, didn't even have a relationship with our bank, and they came to us because they couldn't get anywhere with where they were, the institution that they were at. And guess what? We're building a relationship. Doesn't mean that every single one of them is going to choose to move all of their financials over to us, but we want to start a relationship so that way, if and when something else happens, that we can be ready to help each other navigate the waters that we saw just several months ago and continue to see. To be frank, I mean, I'm not sure that, as we look across the pond, so to speak, in Europe, as they are in the throes of essentially a surge, much like they saw when the whole thing started, and we see other areas of the United States experiencing a surge. We're going to have to adapt, and we're going to have to figure things out. I don't think that we're heading towards any type of lockdowns like we saw before, but we're still going to have to be very adaptable to what the future holds. And I do believe, once this election is over, once we have some understanding of where we're going to be at government-wise and politically for the next couple of years, you are going to see a renewed effort as far as making sure that our small businesses and businesses across the country that have been harmed economically over the last several months, that there probably will be another PPP style rollout from whether it's SBA, Department of Treasury, things like that. And I do think that obviously, the fact that the election is only 13 days away has gotten in the way of getting some of those agreements done. But I guess if there's a crystal ball for 2021, regardless of who is in charge in Washington, I do believe that you're going to see some sort of relief coming for especially small businesses across the country. And in Arizona, I know that Jen hit on this earlier. We have, as far as the fiscal health of the state, have bounced back in a much better way than many other states have. And I think it's a testament to what Arizona is as a whole. And I talk about this on the politics side, but my family talks about it quite a bit. People, they moved to Arizona in the 1950s because at that time, it was a place where you could hit the restart button and come back stronger than you ever were. People settled this land here in Arizona for generation and generation because they could do something that they couldn't do wherever they were from. And we continue to see it today as people migrate to Arizona from all over the country and all over the world because they do believe the same thing that we know, and that is you can go ahead and establish yourself and your business here in this state and make it a phenomenal business that would sustain your family, that can sustain a community. And I think that's probably the biggest thing. One of the reasons I know that we were so excited to get involved in ASBA is because these small businesses are the lifeblood of community. I can tell you, growing up in it, every youth football, little league, things like that, they'd stop over. We have a GM dealership in Coolidge, and they'd stop over and talk to Mr. Garrett. Then they'd come over and talk to my dad about a donation for, a sign out in the outfield wall or what have you. And that's what it's all about. And that's why I love working at an institution where I get to actually interact with people who I feel like are the same people I grew up being or grew up with. And it's a fantastic place to work. And I look forward to continuing this great relationship that we're starting to build with ASBA.
You bet. We are super excited. And I couldn't agree with you more, TJ, especially as you talk about Arizona really being the land of opportunity, really nationally. I mean, this is the place where you can build. This is the place where you can grow. This is the place where you can reinvent. And I see it every day. I see it locally, but I also see it across the state. And I'm just really, really proud to be associated with the Arizona Small Business Association. I'm really, really pleased to be able to work alongside each of you as you grow your business and seize opportunities that you may never have anticipated. So thank you to National Bank of Arizona for helping us today. We've got Cox Business, who's definitely been a great sponsor for us, and so many others, SRP and others. So we really are grateful. I'm gonna just sum up what I think I've heard today. Deborah, I loved that you talked about the code of chivalry and how it's instilled not just within your organization, but that you're seeing it replicated and really supporting each other and making sure that there's continued success in the entertainment and dining industry, and that you continue to tell that story and you guys give back so much. And we really admire that about you and about Medieval Times. Christo, thank you so much for making us aware of the incredible businesses that you have going right here in Arizona, and also to be less reactive, to be more proactive about disrupting ourselves and our businesses, that we maybe take ourselves out of our comfort zone, head over to Arizona Toastmasters, build some skills. These are great opportunities for each of us. And keep us posted how many Arizona Small Business Association members head your way, because I think that'd be a fun way to have maybe our own little internal dialogue there. And then
I love it. Thank you, Jen. Thank you.
Thanks, Christo. Last but not least, build those relationships as TJ has shared with us. And I know how important relationships can be both politically, but also how important you can't build those in the middle of a crisis. You've really got to have those relationships established, and how important it is that we continue to do that with all of the professional services that we interact with the local businesses that we want to be part of, and then again, finding more ways to give back. And we know National Bank of Arizona does that so well. We're a little bit behind time, so I apologize, but I do want to kick it over to Katie Prendergast. Katie is the newest addition to the Arizona Small, well, actually, I think I might be the newer one, but Katie's the second newest introduction to the Arizona Small Business Association, doing some great work on the public policy side. We wanted her to give us an update on some of the public policy things that AZBA is focused on, because as Christo mentioned in his one of his answers today, that it's government regulations, ballot propositions, all these things that really can affect us at the local level, at small business level. And so Katie, per usual, AZBA's going to keep you all apprised of these things, but Katie's doing some tremendous work in this space. So Katie, do you want to touch on a couple of things that you've been working on?
That'd be great. Thank you, Jen, and terrific job leading the conversation the past 2 days. It's been so informative to just hear about the companies that are doing amazing work in Arizona and the resources that they're providing to our members. So thanks for walking us through such great conversations. And as you mentioned, advocacy is one of our core functions at the Arizona Small Business Association, and we are really passionate about engaging in public policy issues that have a material impact on the small business community. We know that a supportive policy and regulatory environment are crucial to the success of your business. And so to that end, you can count on AZBA to continue to engage on your behalf on issues that truly would have an impact to your bottom line. And to that end, this election cycle has brought such an issue to the forefront with Proposition 208. And so if you aren't familiar with Prop 208, by brief background, the measure seeks to raise the top marginal tax rate by 78% as a way to generate additional revenue for education. And importantly, half of the Arizonans impacted by Proposition 208 would be small business owners. And we know that our members have faced significant hardship and challenges in the wake of the pandemic. We know that this is not the time to impose the largest tax increase in Arizona history on small businesses across Arizona. It's just the wrong plan at the wrong time. Our small business community is resilient and robust and continues to adapt to the conversation earlier, but crushing them under the weight of a 78% tax increase would be devastating to small businesses in Arizona. Interestingly, small businesses actually employ 58% of Arizonans that work in the private sector. So you think about, small businesses, they're our neighbors, our friends, they're job creators. And so we feel very strongly that Proposition 208 should be defeated. AZBA has been a longtime champion and advocate for robust education funding. AZBA has supported Representative Shope and his legislative colleagues as they've sought to inject a tremendous amount of money into Arizona's education system. Just since 2015 alone, $6.4 billion has been invested in Arizona's education system. We know that there's more work to do. We believe that we need to continue to move the needle on education funding, but this is just the wrong way to do it. And so while we know that there's more work to do, we firmly oppose Proposition 208. And if you're one of our members, you know that we've taken a position of opposition to 208. We've encouraged everyone to vote no. And so if you still have your ballot and haven't returned it yet, or you plan on voting in person on election day, we would encourage you to vote no on Prop 208. If you'd like additional information about how harmful Prop 208 would be, including economic analysis that's been done by a number of leading Arizona economists, you can view the broad coalition that's been formed to oppose the proposition. And it's everyone from business advocacy organizations, elected officials, individual small business owners who are standing up to say, hey, this is the wrong plan for Arizona. You can find all of that at www.nopropaz.com. And of course, you can consider, AZBA a resource for this issue, for any other, public policy or advocacy issue. Again, we're just extremely passionate at AZBA when it comes to advocating on behalf of our members so that they have the environment that they need to be successful. So again, reach out to us with any questions. And Jen, appreciate the opportunity to talk about what's really the top, I think, small business issue this election cycle.
Thank you, Katie, and thanks for that insight. And yes, we do want to encourage all of our small businesses and all of those who they can have an influence on to vote no on Proposition 208. So thank you, Katie, for that incredible update. I know there's going to be more public policy discussions forthcoming in AZBA, and so we encourage you to stay engaged with us. As a final note, before we let you get on with the rest of your day, we do want to again thank the incredible staff at the Arizona Small Business Association. We want to hear you. We want to listen to you. We are here for you. So that requires you to share information with us because we want to carry your voice at the local level, at the county level, at the state level. We want to ensure that your voice is heard at all levels of government and that we find the right resources for each of you to be able to be successful. And so there will be surveys that go out after the conclusion of AZBizCon, and we want everybody to respond, and please do not be shy about feedback for us. I think feedback is a gift and it's how we get better. And we have a great desire to continue the upward trajectory of AZBA. So please take a few moments to fill out that survey when you get it. Again, we thank each of you for joining us over the last 2 days. I feel like we've all made some new friends, and I appreciate each and every one of you, our panelists especially, for coming on and sharing about your business. We sure have loved getting to know you over the last several weeks, as well as we've had some pre-calls and been able to hear your stories individually. So thank you to each of you for your time and your commitment to Arizona's economy, to your passion for your work and how you continue to elevate the state in everything that you do. So we appreciate it so much and hope everybody has an incredible day.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Jen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jen.